All right, welcome to episode 22 of Dad's House, except for now, instead of having dads, we're going to have one dad and one mom. Welcome, Yescenia Osorio, to the show. The reason we have Yescenia today instead of Jose is because I wanted to do a show today about realtors, and more specifically, buyer's agents. There's a lot of stuff, whether you know it out there or not, there's a lot of stuff going on with realtors, especially buyer's agents, and how they're earning their commission. There are lawsuits and all kinds of other stuff going on out there at the moment. So I wanted to bring on Yescenia because Yescenia is probably the hardest working buyer's agent that I know. She does listings too, of course, but she represents a lot of buyers, and I know because we close a lot of transactions together. And I see her working her ass off, to be honest. And I want to kind of put out there that buyer's agents are incredibly important in a market where the negotiations, in this market especially, where negotiations are so important. So Yescenia, welcome to Dad's House podcast today. We're Dad and Mom House.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Oh, good. Tell me first a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate for the last 7 years. I got licensed in 2018, but yeah.
7 years of activity. And what were you doing before?
I was working in the banking industry for 16 years. 16
years. And in that banking industry, how did that job translate into this job? In other words, what skills did you take from that job and bring over here?
Well, a lot of the skills, banking, if you see it the way that I did it, it might not has nothing to do with real estate, but so many of the stuff, like numbers, things that I created, at the bank are helping me, in my inside job, not as an agent, but in my inside job.
I see. And tell me now, how do you go about going to this job now? How do you go about meeting buyers? And don't give me the I meet them at the supermarket answer, right? Because I hear that a lot. There are systems in place that realtors use to find people who want to potentially buy homes. Tell me about your systems.
Well, I have a couple systems. One of them is through past clients, through family and friends, referrals. I want to say 75% of my business comes from referrals, being in touch with my past clients and, letting them know I can, always remember I can help your family and friends. Open houses, that's another way another way of me meeting with buyers. Online, saying, through social media, running ads, or just putting myself out there, reminding everyone, hey, you're thinking about buying or selling, I'm here to help you.
And what level of maintenance for the realtors out there, or aspiring realtors out there, what level of maintenance or how much time dedication do you put in to those systems, just those systems, the finding the buyer systems?
If you ask me about hours, it could be like 20, 25 hours a week just on working on those systems.
What we would call prospecting, right? What we would call looking for buyers. Because there is a reality to that. I think sometimes what we want to put out there to the world is, I'm your local realtor. I'm going to meet you in the grocery store. I'm just like you, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it's true. And you do meet clients that way. And a lot of clients, I'll be in some random place and somebody will be talking about a home financing and I'll strike up a conversation on purpose because I would like the opportunity to do some business. Right. But that's not how we get the majority of our clients.
No.
Right? The majority of our clients come through hard work on our part to find, in my case, to find good realtors to work with and buyers out there to help finance. And in your case, it's maintaining those systems that you're talking about to find these clients out there and really get them from I want to buy a house to keys in hand, right?
Right.
There's a whole system out there for that.
Right.
So that's the first thing. I definitely want people to know that there's work that goes into that. What is the hardest part? If you had to say that there's the most difficult part of your job, what would you say is that part of your job?
The hardest part is the negotiation, because you're representing the buyer and of course someone else is representing the seller. When it comes to negotiations, the buyer wants a specific, items to be included on the purchase, on the purchase contract. And sometimes as your buyer's agent, I will definitely put everything you want, but the seller most of the times will come back and say, no, this is not what I'm what I'm gonna give you. So that's the hardest part, to be able to get as many things as I want for you, my buyer.
Yeah, so we did a podcast, Jose and I, a couple of episodes ago, where I think I said something along the lines of a good, how you know you have a great agent is because you don't get everything that you want. The great agents move, like if your goal, if you're talking about a take it or leave it house, it's one thing. But if your goal is to buy that house, and that's the ultimate goal, and you don't get everything that you want in your negotiations, you're probably being fairly represented, right? Because good agents, if you have a good seller's agent and a good buyer's agent, those two people are great at bringing the individual parties to reality.
Correct.
Right? I want a $30,000 credit because, I'll have to replace the roof in 10 years. Is that realistic? No. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not realistic. And the best agents bring their buyers to a reality and still get them a good chunk of what they want. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that, especially because sometimes buyers are talking to the neighbor, to the sibling who purchased a house, a completely different market, and they feel and they think that they're going to get the same thing. And it's not like that. But like you said, it's our job to sit down with the clients and explain exactly what's going on with the market. And it's, okay, do you really love the house?
Yeah.
Okay, you might not get this, but you're going to get this. So definitely.
So you brought something up right now that I think is a pet peeve. It's something that comes up often in our industry, and we have to be ready to answer. And so I'm going to give you a chance to give your answer in a second. But that problem, that pet peeve is, why am I getting, like if they're talking to me as the loan officer, why am I getting this rate? My cousin just closed on his house, and he got a 1.5% rate, and the lender was able to credit him $20,000. Why can't I get that deal, right? And so I'm sorry. I laugh because a lot of the times, the best solution in my mind would be in a perfect world. Okay, send me your cousin's paperwork and let's see what really happened, right? Because if they're really walking away with 1.5% rate, which right now is not possible, but if that were to be the case, they probably paid through the nose for that rate in a way that should probably not have happened if a good lender was behind them. That's the first thing I think of. If it sounds that outrageous, many times in my career, I've had, okay, the market rates are here, and they're telling me that they closed way down here at some unrealistic rate and did some unrealistic things. As a lender, or I know as a lender that the probability that it is unrealistic means that either they paid really big money to do something that they probably shouldn't have done, or the cousin's just kind of exaggerating what they're closed at because they want to look good, right? Because who doesn't, right?
Right.
On your side, how do you solve that side? Because I like you say, you brought it up just now. They come up to you and they say, well, my cousin just closed, and the seller gave him $100,000 credit, and he bought her for $50,000 less than what the house was selling for. What do you say when somebody says that?
Well, I always go in detail on what it takes for you to get the rate, right? Even if you and I have the same job, we have the same salary, I remind them, your credit might be different to my credit.
Yes.
And that's something that the lender will take in consideration for the rate that you're going to get. There's so many things, and I always remind my clients, and I think I have made a couple videos about this. Your situation is unique. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Every market is different.
Right.
Market last year, 6 months ago, was different than today.
For
so
sure.
It's something that you definitely don't want to do. Yes, you want to have conversations with friends, family, coworkers. It's fine, but don't compare yourself. And don't think because they went through that,
that you're going to have the exact same experience.
Correct.
Yeah.
If we go through COVID time, people was offering 60, 70,000 about appraised value. Is that happening today? No, it's not.
Right.
It's like, again, every situation is different. And I always remind my clients, there's so many things, salary, DADS, FICO score, that you guys take in consideration to say, this is the rate you're getting.
Right.
So.
I think what sometimes people think about realtors and lenders, and they think, well, the lender it does the loan, and it seems to them like it's a one-step process. And then on the real estate side, on the buyer side, they say, well, you're just opening a door for me. right? So that I can see the house. You have the license to open that door so I can see this house. And if I could just, in that moment, force them to read the book of what a realtor does. I love my job. I love being on the loan side. I've said this to many a buyer's agent. I would never be a buyer's agent. Not because I don't think I would do well in the position maybe potentially, but I like the number side. I like solving the puzzle on the number side, but you really have to be a different kind of puzzle solver to be a buyer's agent, right? Okay. So there are, in my experience with all of you, is, first it's you have to show clients around. You have to take them from county to county sometimes, showing homes that they may or may not want to make offers on, right? So there's that. And especially here, right? We live in, I live in Los Angeles County, but I may want to shop in Sanborn, Riverside, North Los Angeles County, which is its own distance away. And I've had clients and realtors that take the clients to all three counties inspecting different types of property. That by itself requires, or I think deserves a lot of respect in terms of the work that you put in. But what else? What else beyond that? So you're taking clients around, and then what?
Well, before taking the clients, you really have to understand what they're looking for. That's something that I definitely do. You want to sit down and explain to me what you're looking for. I'm not going to take you to a county or city does not have what you're looking for, especially the price points. So you have to understand that the house you want matches the price you're buying. Showing houses is one thing. Getting that offer and putting the cleanest and the strong offer to make sure you get the house. It's a tough market right now, and a lot of people are not buying, but there's only a few houses on the market. So if I show a house to you, most likely there's two other buyers that are wanting to buy the house. I want to make sure I sit down and I do the best offer to make sure you, my client, get the house. That's one of the things, getting negotiations, making sure I bring everybody you need, inspectors, going through the whole process.
Stay on the offer for a second. What makes a good offer? What makes a good offer? Like something that does it for your client, yes, but puts them in the best position possible to get the house.
A good offer is, of course, purchase price, a strong purchase price. Sometimes asking price is a strong purchase price. A good initial deposit. We don't want to put a small deposit there because then your offer is not going to be attractive. And definitely working with you, my lender, to lower those contingency periods to make sure the seller says, oh, they really want to buy the house. And, they're not going to be waiting for us 21 days for us to say, okay, we're good to remove the contingencies, which are protections for you, the buyer, right? So, and, if your pre-approval requires closing costs, we really have to negotiate that. But if we don't have closing costs, it's definitely way better offer than any other ones.
Yeah, because bottom line, you're providing more profit to the seller. They're not having to pay for your side of the closing costs. Correct. And contingencies, for those of you who don't know, Yesenia said there are protections for the buyers. In every contract, at least in California, in every contract, there are going to be time periods by when you're saying you're going to perform certain actions. So loan approval, appraisal, you will have inspected the home. Those are all contingencies that we have to work off of. And the seller can say, hey, this contingency period's up. You need to sign off that contingency. And at the point where you signed off all of your contingency, now your deposit is potentially at risk. So the lender and the realtor and you as the buyer all have to perform at a certain time level. If we can crunch those times down to smaller periods of time, then the sellers see that as a more attractive offer.
Correct. Why? Because he's going to be waiting for you during less time. Right. If you put a long contingency, the seller is going to be for 21 days waiting for you. Is your loan going to be approved? Right. Is there anything that you are concerned about the house? Sellers don't want you to cancel at day 21. Right. Because then they're losing a lot of time. So that's why it's very important.
The philosophy I carry into all my loans is always, and I say this to buyers often so that they know the urgency. I don't want to make anybody ever feel uncomfortable, but I do want to let them know that once you open escrow, performance is what the sellers are looking for. Correct. They're looking that on the lender side, we get disclosures out, that we order appraisal, that we have a loan approval, that we have our closing disclosure out, that we have docs out, that we, all the steps that are happening in a timely manner and are being communicated to them. And so if we slow down it creates a mistrust. It creates a little bubble of mistrust in the process, and that hurts the buyers in the negotiation aspect a lot of times, right? So let's say that the buyer, I say, okay, buyer, the loan is approved. The underwriter's asking that I get this additional piece of paper from you, and they're like, oh, well, it's going to take me a couple of weeks because I have it in storage. Well, we don't have a couple of weeks, and if the seller has to wait for us for a couple of weeks, they're going to sit there paying property taxes, paying interest, paying insurance on a property that they want to be out of, and wondering whether you're really even ever going to provide it. And because they are not in our shoes, knowing that we're operating honestly, we have to over communicate, and we have to tell them everything's moving along as best as we can move it along. We consistently have to communicate that effort to them, so we can't really afford to slow down an escrow. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that, and we have to remember that seller can come to us and give us that notice that will give us only 2 days to provide what we need to provide. Now they can cancel on us.
The notice
to perform. We don't want that. I don't want that. None of my buyers to go through that.
Right. Exactly. How do you feel right now? Like if you're a buyer, from a realtor perspective, let's do it from that perspective. How do you feel about where rates and prices are right now?
How do I feel is, we all know it's a tough market.
Yeah. Prices
are high, rates are high. And when people come and ask, is it a good time for me to buy? The real question is it a good time to buy? The real question is it a good time for you?
Right.
Right? Sometimes there's situations in life that make you move. There's no option, right? You have to have a bigger house. Then you have to definitely buy a house, and it's like, okay, what do I need to consider? A monthly payment. That's what you need to work on and worry about it. Yes, again, prices are high, rates are high, but what really is important is, okay, can I afford a $3,500 payment? I'm open to go to a different city to be able to get a house that will allow me to have that monthly payment. So I will definitely say, if you are in a situation where you need to buy a house or you need to sell, let's sit down and go over everything, analyze the situation, and then you will be able to decide if it's a good time for you to buy or not.
I'm a nerd, and I think you know that.
I do.
Thank you. And so for me, it's numbers. If I can get numbers in front of you, if you give me the opportunity to generate the payments, the closing costs, the property taxes, the homeowners, if I can get those numbers in front of you, and if with those numbers in front of you, you say, you know what? No. Both you and I can be at peace in that moment, right? I've done what I could for you, and you've made a decision not to proceed or to proceed, but it's when you get those numbers in front of you that I feel like you have the education necessary to begin to make those decisions. Is it a good time to buy or not? Like you say, in every case, it's a decision to be made not by us, but by the person who's potentially going to buy the home. And, the truth is some people are saying no to that right now because prices are high, rates are high. But many other people are saying yes to that because I have a baby on the way. I'm divorcing, unfortunately. I am downsizing because my kids have left the house. Things that, like you say, push you into a real estate transaction. And so there are plenty of people out there considering those people. For those people, I would say, me on the loan side, I would say, get the numbers in front of you so that you can make a good decision. Stop being scared about what you're hearing out there about rates and high. Forget all that stuff. Can I work with the payment? Can I work with my monthly payment? That's number one, because it affects your monthly expenses. And is my situation the type of situation that pushes me into this being a smart idea? If I think that's the case, let's get some numbers in front of me.
Yeah, don't forget about the people that are paying a lot of rent.
Yeah.
Rents are really high for some people right now. And it's like, if you're paying $3,500 a month for rent, why not buy a house?
Right.
If you're paying $1,600, then that's a different story. That you don't want to jump from a $1,600 to a $3,500. But, rents are definitely high. And that's what is making a lot of people to say, you know what? I'm ready to buy a house.
Excellent. I like that. I like all of that advice. How many days, let's go back to your work schedule. In total, how many days a week do you work?
7. That's the real question. I want to.
That's the real answer. That's the real answer.
I'm sorry. That's the real answer.
Yeah.
I want to say Monday through Friday, or from Thursday to whatever day. But in reality, is like, especially if you have transactions in process, you're working with clients. There's no day off. It's like,
Oh, really? Yeah.
no, you're working 7 days.
I think there are days that where I work less hours for sure. Sometimes those days are on the weekend. Sometimes they're not. But there are days where I work fewer hours for sure. But I know that the agents that I work with that are good are working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's not, we're not saying that they're working 8 or 9 hours every single day. But there are days where I know that I'm talking to you at like 7:30 in the morning, and we're still talking at 7:30 at night.
Right.
Right. There are days where I know you post something on Instagram and you're having a family party. Fantastic. What do you say, for example, to somebody? Because there was for a while, I think it's faded off now, but there was a big trend in our business to say work-life balance. Make sure you have a work-life balance. Does the work-life balance exist? And if so, how do you manage the work-life balance?
It does exist. You have to work on making that exist. Maybe it's not going to be 50-50. Some days, like you said, some days I work long hours. Some others I work only like 4 hours. And that's when I take the time to say, okay, family, let's go have a dinner together. Or I take the time to, be at my house doing what I was not able to do Saturday and Sunday because I was so busy working. So I definitely believe that we can have a balance. Again, it might not be 50-50, but there's time for everything. We just have to get organized and use the time wisely.
Yeah, I think for the realtors that are hustling out there, that are really doing the best that they can for their clients, and even in this market, attempting to stay as busy as you are. When I see what their work schedules are, I'm like, wow, I know it's comparable to what I do on any given week, and I can say with all honesty that you guys are some of the hardest working people that I know. You, and especially because I am talking to you at all kinds of random hours. And I say 7:30, but sometimes 7:30 at night is not the end of it.
No, sometimes it's 8 or 9 p.m.
All right. Fantastic. All right, Yescenia, thank you so much for joining us. I hope some folks out there got some education and got to understand the life of a hardworking agent. As I said, the good ones like Yescenia are out there hustling, doing the best they can for you, creating good transactions for you, negotiating as best as they can for you to try to make it happen for you. It is not an easy job. It is not the open the door for me job that everybody thinks it is. And so I think you deserve every penny that you make in this industry, and best of luck. Thanks again.
Thank you, Ernesto.
And thank you guys for watching. That was episode 22 of Dad's House. Today it's Dad and Mom's House. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment if you like what we had to say today. I'm sure Yescenia and I would be more than happy to reply to anything and any questions that you have.